Welcome to the Outdoor Biz Podcast, where each Tuesday, your host, Rick Sayes, gathers around the mic with outdoor industry entrepreneurs, brand leaders, founders, and enthusiasts to share stories from the backcountry, the startup files, and the retail aisles. Rick's guests offer actionable advice to land your ideal industry gig, grow your outdoor career, or plan your next big adventure. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. And now, here's Rick.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today on episode 349 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, Ducks Unlimited Communications Specialist Jennifer Kross shares her waterfowl and wetland ecology background and how she communicates what Ducks Unlimited does and how and why they do it. Welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
It's my first podcast.
Oh, very cool. Well, exciting. This will be fun. It's pretty simple. We'll just walk our way through the questions, and if you stumble over an answer, keep going. We'll fix it in post, as they say.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So let's start with your introduction to the outdoors. How'd that come about?
Well, I did do a little research on you, Rick, and I listened to some of your old podcasts or some of your archive there.
Yeah.
But it seemed like a lot of people that you asked this question, like it all starts with fishing. And I think, yeah, it was fishing for me. Like I grew up in Florida, and my dad, we had a boat growing up, and we would always, he'd wake me up at 5 a.m. and say, let's go. So, yeah. And then my family was always, we weren't really, we didn't hunt or anything, but we were campers, and we would go to really fun places in Florida. Like Sanibel Island was one of my favorite places to go, and then in the Keys and stuff. And I just kind of I feel like I always kind of knew I wanted to do something with conservation. So yeah, I think that was pretty much when I was young. And then.
And did you guys what kind of fishing did you do? Did you do fly fishing, or did you do traditional tackle fishing?
Yeah,
all the above?
Ocean stuff, I guess,
yeah. Okay.
Right? So we were catching dolphin or mahi-mahi, and there were these jacks that we used to catch.
Yeah.
I'm not really a fish person in general, so I don't really remember. But
okay.
I remember one time my dad, we were deep sea fishing, and we brought up a grouper, and yeah. So that kind of stuff. We would troll too, we'd put out the outriggers and
fun
troll for different things. I think we catch mostly mahi-mahi on those trips.
I caught my first Dorado mahi-mahi down in Baja a couple weeks ago. So much fun. Fly fishing.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
And those are beautiful fish, man.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Yeah, it's amazing, yeah. And so you do have 2 degrees in wildlife ecology and conservation and wildlife management. Did your outdoor activities with your dad inspire those areas of study, or what made you go down that path?
I think so. I think my also just I don't. Well, okay. So when you're a kid, you don't really know all the nuances of what jobs you can do, and I knew I wanted to do something with animals. And so when I started, I was pre-vet, but then I took an ecology course, and I was like, this is where I want to be. So yeah, University of Florida has a great waterfowl or wildlife ecology and conservation program. So I got into that, and I think a lot of it too stemmed from I was in Girl Scouts too, right? And my mom was my leader, and one of the Girl Scout laws is use your resources wisely. And my mom really took that one to heart. And I always kind of just harken back on that a little bit. And I think that's kind of where my conservation ethic came from a little bit. It was using resources wisely and, experiencing all those things. So I think it was just kind of a natural progression when I realized that I didn't want to be dealing with sick animals, and I wanted to be doing wildlife-y stuff. So yeah. And then after my undergraduate, I got a really cool, during my undergraduate, I guess it was, I got a really cool internship with the Fish and Wildlife Service. And I was trapping wood ducks in North Carolina. And yeah, we were rocket netting, and me and this other intern, we were catching record number of wood ducks and banding them. And it was an amazing experience just to be able to get your hands on a wild animal and let it go,
So what's a rocket net? I don't know. What's that?
Oh, okay. So It's a net that you spread out on the ground and you put these explosives and you tie it to the net and then you bait it. So you put bait in front of the net and the ducks come up and they eat the bait and then you shoot the rocket net off and it goes over their heads and it captures all the ducks in the net.
Interesting. That's got to be fun.
Yeah, it's super cool. You're dealing with explosives.
Right.
It's really exciting. And
you got wildlife, explosives, netting, all in one shot. That's got to be a blast as a young person. I'd have enjoyed the hell out of that. That's funny.
Yeah, for sure. And just, exploring the refuge and stuff that I was on and seeing all this stuff there.
Very cool. So I see you also played water polo at Florida. That I've never played. It looks like a really hard sport. How'd you get into that?
I needed an athletic outlet.
Gotcha. Okay.
I guess. Yeah, no. Well, I swam in high school,
okay.
Just on the high school team. And I had some aspirations of swimming at University of Florida, but they have a really awesome swim team. So I wasn't skilled enough in that respect. But the water polo team was really just fun, and it was a way for me to get in the pool and meet some new friends. So yeah, and you're undergraduate, it's a lot of like seeking social outlets too.
Yeah, right. But that's a hard sport, right? I mean, I see I've watched some of those Olympic sports, and those guys and gals are just, dunking each other and grabbing bathing suits, and it's like, wow, brutal.
There's a lot of stuff that so this is what I learned. I don't know if it's by the book or anything, but like you can do stuff under the water to people if the refs don't see it, like you can like wrap your legs around somebody
sport.
And
you can do stuff if the refs don't see it. That's good. I like
true.
that. That'd be fun.
But it's aggressive, and I've never really like played a contact sport like that before, but yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah. I played football, so I know all about that contact stuff, but yeah, water polo just looks much harder than any other sport too, because you're in the water, you got to keep your feet moving. Just looks like you're, got to be really fit because you're moving all the time.
Yeah.
I guess if you know how to move under, I don't know. I swim like a brick, so I'm not the one to know how to move underwater. So
yeah, well, I guess it's like like if you've played soccer.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like soccer. You're just constantly moving. Like I couldn't play soccer because I don't really run very well.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I can. Yeah. I can tread water pretty good.
You'd have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for anyone listening that might not know, share with us what Ducks Unlimited does. What are some of the things you guys do?
Yeah, I enjoy answering this question because it's like I can give you the elevator speech or I can give you the long one.
Yeah, let's do the elevator speech, and then I'll do some follow-up stuff we'll get to the long one.
Okay,
in a roundabout way.
Yeah. Well, so I do outreach stuff. So whenever anybody calls our office and says, "Hey, can somebody come talk about ducks and wetlands?" That's me. And so I teach like classes sometimes for a lot of young people. So it's a lot of like elementary school. And I ask them every time, does anybody know what Ducks Unlimited does? Because I mean, a lot of people recognize the duck head and the name.
Yeah.
But they don't, like, sometimes they associate it with a brand or I mean, it is a brand, but like a clothing brand,
right?
Specifically, or like outdoor gear, right?
Yeah, or a store, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, and those are some of the answers I get from the people. But Ducks Unlimited is a conservation organization, and we focus on wetlands and waterfowl habitat, and throughout the United States and Mexico and Canada. So we're North America continent focused conservation organization. And the way we raise money are a lot of those grassroots banquets that a lot of people are familiar with. And, where we have auctions and raffles, and it's a good time for people and fundraising and their community building events too. And that's how we raise like our grassroots funds. And that's what a lot of people are familiar with. But, like we also partner with brands. I mean, Purina is one of our brands, but also like outdoor gear brands, like, that make waders and stuff. So we get our emblem on, or, our logo on those types of things. And that's just another way for us to make money. But
And when
it
you
can get a little...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, it can get a little confusing sometimes, when people see like the Ducks Unlimited duck head on a pair of waders and they're like, is that the brand or what is Ducks Unlimited? So, yeah.
It's like
conservation.
Advertising. So when you're doing the wetland work, are you generally working with a local conservation group to, restore it and keep it clean and keep the water flowing through it? That's a local group with you guys, or do you do anything just independently where Ducks Unlimited goes in and does their thing?
Yeah. So Ducks Unlimited we may be involved in a project that you might not even know about, right? In your like local place, just because we have a lot of different partners. But like the key to conservation, or one of the things that we really need to recognize is that, most of the land out there is privately owned. And so we work with landowners a lot, and especially in like North Dakota and South Dakota, we work with ranchers, and a lot of what we're working on now are soil health programs. So helping ranchers and landowners put practices on their land that is beneficial for their operation, for their ranching or their agriculture business, but also beneficial for wildlife.
Yeah, it doesn't harm the animals or the environment, right?
Right. Yeah. And there's a little bit of, I talk about this too when I teach people the difference between conservation and preservation. And, where preservation is like a national park, right? You're setting it aside. You're not doing anything with it. Nobody, people are allowed to use it, but you're not allowed to change the landscape. Whereas conservation incorporates that use component, which we all need to recognize, right, as humans. And, we're using the land. We're humans. We use the land. We do things to the land. We build parking lots and we build Walmarts. But also using the land in a way that is beneficial for the other things that share the habitats, like ducks.
Right.
Right. So, there's these soil health practices like cover crops and making sure that you're nourishing the soil in your agriculture production. And all those practices go hand in hand with duck nesting habitat. They're working a lot with landowners in North and South Dakota now. Oh, in Montana too, where we're helping them set up rotational grazing systems, where we're helping with like water delivery systems and fencing on different parts of their farms so they can put cattle into like farm fields and crop fields and help to churn over the dirt. They're trying to mimic like bison, like the grazing of bison type thing, and using cattle to support those, because that's kind of how this land really, developed with the duck nesting and the prairie potholes and then the bison that come through. So yeah,
that makes sense. And you've been with them for quite a while, right? Yeah. How many years have you been with them?
Yeah, 16 now.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I have to think a little bit. I think I started 2016. I think. So
okay.
yeah. Anyway.
And so
no, sorry, not 2016, 2006.
Oh, okay. There we go. That makes sense. Yeah. And so how has the landowners, are they more willing to work with you guys now? Do they seek out your help? How's that changed over the years? I mean, I'm sure, some guys just say, "No, I got it. Don't just leave me alone. I know what I'm doing." How's that changed? Or has it changed?
Well, I guess it kind of depends on who you ask. In the last few years, and I'm not the one working on the ground.
Yeah, you're
I
not
just
boots on
kind
the
of
ground
like
there.
talk.
Right.
Yeah, right. I just kind of talk about it. But yeah, our biologists in the field, they're really, in the last few years, they've really made efforts to just kind of like go and knock on doors and really just make connections with landowners and tell them what we're offering, and just kind of like, because I mean, I don't know, sometimes Ducks Unlimited, we fight a lot of criticism and rumors about, buying land or taking over things or doing like practices that don't necessarily apply to our goals. And that's just how that stuff works, right?
Yeah,
The
we all do
rumor
that
mill
these
and
days.
everything.
Exactly. Yeah, everybody reads
Yeah.
something they read in the paper and it's like, no, that's not right.
Yeah. So there's really been an effort. We've hired several agronomists in North and South Dakota and Montana, and we're really just making an effort to like find these places where like landowners have good quality habitat for ducks, but are also using that land in some way. And so we're just kind of knocking on their doors and saying, hey, we could help you with ABC. This can improve your operation this way. And just really like community efforts, like going to different grassland coalition meetings and just meeting landowners that way. So I think it's changing. It's slow progress, but I think and I don't know. And I talk specifically about like the Great Plains because that's where I'm at. I'm in the Great Plains region, and but I think specifically in like this culture here, it's word of mouth, right? So now Ducks Unlimited is working on, Bill's ranch. So Bill tells his neighbor Joe, yeah, Ducks Unlimited came in and they helped me build this fencing so I can get my cattle moving around, and they helped me put water here. So why don't you talk to the DU biologist, and he can help you do this too, kind of thing,
cool.
Yeah.
Well, and we're getting, we're in this generational shift right now where a lot of folks have been managing their land for certain ways for 2 or 3 generations, and we're realizing now that, that's probably not the best way for your animals or the land. Here's some other, things that we've done research on that will get you more yield and blah, 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 blah. And I think that that's I would think some people would be interested in doing that, and some people would not be. So I was just curious about how that's changed over time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not a quick process, right?
Right.
And I mean, like a lot of things in this world, you fight some marketing that has been targeted towards inputs, and it's. Your corn can perform better if you put this chemical on the field, but there's also ways to improve your agriculture production using sustainable ways too. It's just a longer process, and you have to be patient with it.
Right. We're going to take a little break and give some love to our sponsor. I've heard from some of you photographers out there that you've always wanted to sell your photos online. Well, SmugMug makes it easy. With a few clicks, you can start selling prints and digital downloads right away. They handle everything from billing to shipping and work with some of the best labs in the world. Rick Say's Photography has been with SmugMug for over 20 years, and they've handled every transaction flawlessly. Go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/sellphotos and try it for free. To set up your account today, go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/sellphotos. And now, back to the show. So that's a good segue into your role. So you're in communications. Tell us about that. Do you get to talk about that stuff directly, or do you focus more on the national work?
Yeah, I pretty much write about what we do and why we do it, and I'm primarily in the Great Plains. So, but I don't know. Recently, I had the opportunity to kind of change my position a little bit. We had some staffing switch arounds into you. So my title now is education biologist.
Okay.
So I'm doing more like, I guess, actively seeking opportunities to do this type of like wetland waterfowl education type stuff.
Gotcha.
So we've got I don't know if you've ever heard of the Envirothon competitions.
No.
But so the Envirothon, there's a national competition, but it's pretty big in North Dakota, and we have a state Envirothon competition. So I've been helping with that. And then our soil conservation districts in North Dakota also do eco-education days. And that's for like, I think middle schoolers, and they bring them out and they do like eco-education. So I do a wetland and waterfowl lesson with that. And then I'm also working now with the Texas Brigades. Have you ever heard of those?
No.
Yeah, it's a really cool series of camps that they do in Texas, and they're all natural resource oriented. So there's like a bobwhite quail brigade, there's a waterfowl brigade, there's a
That's cool.
I think there's a buckskin brigade and there's a ranch brigade. But anyway, so I'm working with them, and we're going to bring a waterfowl brigade camp to North Dakota. So that's some of like the outreach and education stuff I've been doing.
That's awesome.
Other stuff I did with communications is, lots of internal stuff, some external stuff, writing some articles for the website and the magazine. And I came in with a wildlife degree and melded into communications.
Sure. Right. Exactly.
Outreach.
Yeah.
So
Good for you. Yeah. Did you go get any degree in communications, or you just kind of making it up as you go? Yeah.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say make it up. I had some good mentors along the way.
Cool. Yeah.
To help me get in, because, I came to Ducks Unlimited. I started in the southern region in Mississippi, and I came fresh off of writing my master's thesis, and I was trying to write these articles, and they were like, "No, Jennifer, this is not how you write a popular article." I was like, okay.
That's funny. Yeah.
Back to the drawing board. So it was a lot of like on the job learning.
Sure. Yeah. On the job training. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what's a typical week look like for you? Is there a typical
week or a more exciting week?
Give us a more exciting week. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah. Well, it kind of breaks my heart a little bit, but we were, so the duck stamp competition, the National Duck Stamp Competition was going to be in Bismarck this year. And I was super excited about it. So we were planning all kinds of events surrounding it, but they've canceled the in-person judging.
Oh, bummer.
So I'm a little bummed about that, but we are still going to do some of the events. So some of the things, there's like, I don't know, this is what was on my, what's on my task list, I guess, typical week. But I'm working with a Fish and Wildlife Service person, and we're organizing a field trip for fourth graders. To the the North Dakota Game and Fish office has a really neat like outdoor learning center, and we're going to take them there and talk about ducks and wetlands and do some like art lessons too, to kind of coincide with like, how to create a duck stamp. So yeah. And I think we've still got some events going on associated with that. Like the local art gallery in town was going to display some of the artists, like former winners of the duck stamp. They're going to display some of their art. And I was going to go, and I have a duck stamp collection. I'm a bit of a fan. I was like fangirling over the whole thing. Like I was excited to meet the artists and like have some of my duck stamps signed and everything.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know if all that's going to, we're still going to try and do some of these events. And there is like a field tour, like to show off some of the habitats around here, but I just don't know how well attended it's going to be, since the in-person judging isn't going on anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of big. Well, I'm sure it'll change. I'm sure it'll come back.
Yeah.
I'll figure out how to do that now. Which part of your job do you love the most? Getting outside, right? Getting outside as much as you do has got to be fantastic.
Yeah, well, actually, I don't know. I think like most things, it's mostly behind the computer, But I really do, like, I enjoy talking about wetlands and waterfowl, and I like taking that message out to people, to whoever wants to hear it.
That's awesome.
So if I get an opportunity to get in front of a class, or, talk to young people, or even like civic groups or that kind of thing, I do it.
Right. Good for you. We need a lot of that, especially these days, with all the mixed news out there. We need people to get out there and tell them, "No, this is what's really going on."
Yeah. And I want to tell people about Ducks Unlimited. I want more people to know about Ducks Unlimited.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because there's a lot of these groups that exist and have existed for a long time, and even folks like me that are in outdoor recreation. I used to hunt, I still fish, but as these things evolve over time, you really lose sight of what they actually do. So I think even though you may have grown up hearing about it, you really don't know what they do. So it's good to hear, for you to get out there and tell everybody what you do. And it's great. You guys do great work. So it's fun stuff to talk about, I'm sure. Yeah,
I don't know. I guess I've been working for Ducks Unlimited long enough, but I am just a total cheerleader.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. You have the perfect job for that then. Good for you.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges in the job?
Say that again?
What are some of the challenges in your job?
Oh, I think, what are some? I think sometimes being patient with projects are challenging sometimes.
Yeah.
Just because, like there's lots of other eyeballs that need to see things, and sometimes
eyeballs come with opinions.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay. I appreciate feedback and stuff on that, but I think, I don't know. I've learned this just through life, but giving people grace with their time, because you only have so much time, and I do it myself. So
yeah, no, that's good. Yeah. Be patient with it. Everybody moves at their own speed. That's right.
Right. And sometimes it's, and sometimes even like whatever, with any job, you get like these last minute requests that need to put other things on hold.
Oh yeah.
And so, you have to be apologetic to other people that you're working with on these other projects because somebody's demanding of your time.
So do you actually get to hunt on the job or go out while people are hunting and have that experience?
Oh, not necessarily. No, not me personally, but some of the other folks. And we do a lot of stewardship with our donors too, right? So, and that's just part of being a nonprofit, and asking people for money, which is what you do, right? And
right.
to do that, you take people out and you demonstrate what the habitat looks like, and so we a lot of and we actually have like a certain time of year up here in the Great Plains office where we do a lot of that. Usually it's duck season, and a lot of our biologists and managers and directors get to go out, and meanwhile, and it's not, it's like anything when you do an activity. I think a lot of stuff happens in the duck blind, and like conversations and discussions about habitat and stuff. So I think that's just one of the stewardship things that we do with some of our donors. And
there's some. That's some of the great conversations that go on in the duck blind or in the fishing boat or on the ski lift. That's where some fantastic stuff gets talked about. So it's good to do that every once in a while.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And I don't get to do that necessarily, but I do have like a youth hunting workshop that I do.
Oh, cool.
And so we get kids and we talk about like hunting, and we do some duck ID, and then they learn to duck call, and we have a person out there with their dog, and we show them retriever training stuff and how to set up your duck decoys, and then like a little blind safety hunter training thing. So that's like some of the outside stuff I get to do.
Awesome. That's fun.
Not necessarily
really fun.
Hunting. Yeah, not necessarily hunting, but other fun.
That's great, because I remember I learned how to hunt while we were hunting, and you're so, caught up in the moment and the hunting part of it that you don't take to all the stuff. If you teach them how to hunt and then take them hunting, that's probably smarter. I like that idea. That's great. Here's how you're going to hunt. And then you get out there and hunt. And remember I told you, you're not in the moment. Oh, there go the ducks. Oh, get the gun. It's a lot of excitement in a hunting trip.
For sure.
Do you have any hunting trips in your future? Anything, your vacations coming up?
Yeah, actually, my husband and we got married on Memorial Day, and that's usually the opening of dove season up here. And so we usually go on a dove hunt for our anniversary.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, that's coming up.
Yeah. So I think that's what we're going to do here this next weekend and my father-in-law has a farm up here, like a hobby farm, and he's got people around him that farm canola, and canola fields are great for doves. So
fun. Well, that'll be fun. Well, happy anniversary early.
Thank you.
And do you have any advice or suggestions for folks wanting to get into the outdoor biz or get into your line of work?
Let's see. Well, I guess for me, like, I don't know. You've probably talked about this with other guests and stuff too, but
it's a wide range of advice. I'll tell you, it's pretty interesting.
Is it?
Yeah, that's why I asked the question, because everybody's got their own path, how they came to it. And sometimes they go, yeah, do what I did. Or sometimes, don't do what I did, so.
Yeah. I guess for me, it was just a lot about the connections that I made. Like I got I got a job as a research tech with Ducks Unlimited when I first got out of college, or not when I first got, but like along the way there. And then I had some Ducks Unlimited contacts, and then I got an internship at headquarters in Memphis. And then, in Memphis, I met a professor there who, I ended up getting my master's degree through. So, I mean, and then, I think it's just like the power of connections, right? Like, never underestimate the power of like meeting someone and making a connection with someone, because it can really it got me on this podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Well, be careful. Be careful. Yeah.
Give me a chance to talk about That's Unlimited on a podcast.
Right. No, you're right. And I think not only is it connections, but also you never know how your interest and passions are going to change over the years, or something.
True.
Like I got into outdoor recreation kind of by a fluke. I couldn't get into an architecture program, had to do something, and stumbled on it. And here it is. It's been a great career, great life. So you never know how that's going to change too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Very cool. Do you have a favorite outdoor gear purchase under $100 that you can't live without?
Yeah, I saw this question. I was thinking, but yeah, I think a headlamp, like I don't know. And then also I have like a slim Leatherman.
Oh yeah,
I use
those are cool
all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not one of like the big chunky ones. Yep. It's just a really slim one that you put in your pocket. And
perfect. Yeah, those are good ones. Yeah, good.
Yeah, utility for everything.
Exactly. Yeah, those are amazing tools. I keep one in my glove box in my car. I mean, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest question I ask everybody. It's pretty funny, but there's some great answers. Those are two good ones. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about books? Some of your favorite books? Are you a big reader?
Well, yeah, I read a lot of fiction though.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think like one, like, I don't know, like all time favorites and current favorites are a little different, but like my all time favorite, like I've read a lot of Edward Abbey, and the Monkey Wrench Gang was like one of my favorites.
I had Doug Peacock on my show a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. He was the personality that Abbey patterned.
Hey Duke after,
exactly. Yep.
Oh my God. Yep. I bet that guy would be fun to talk to. I got to listen to that one.
Yeah, I met him. I got to meet him up in Idaho at a rendezvous, Earth First rendezvous years ago. And he's just been, talk about an eco warrior. The guy's been, his whole life has been just working to protect the environment. He's trying to save the grizzly bears up in Yellowstone. So it was a great conversation. Super fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great book. That's a great book.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just kind of like, I mean, when you're in your 20s, it's good to find these kinds of inspiration like that, like these eco warriors that were fighting the man and fighting environmental destruction.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I named my first dog Hey Duke.
Nice. Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Any other books?
But I don't know. Right now I'm reading, I don't know, I have a book club, but I read, and I know it's, pretty popular and they made a movie out of it, but where the crawdads sing.
Oh yeah, I haven't read that yet. Yeah.
It's, and it's kind of like, it's definitely like a female story, but I love because the person who wrote it is like a biologist. Like she's like, her background is in biology and wildlife and stuff. And I love like the descriptions of the marsh that she has in there, and just like the way like she describes the habitat and stuff. It's really cool.
Oh, cool. I'll check that out. Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Yeah, I'll link to that in the show notes for everybody. Yeah. As we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to say to our listeners?
Well, okay. I guess my message.
Here's your chance.
Yeah. I as a conservationist, I really want people to consider where their water comes from and really think about water resources and protecting water resources and contributing to wetland conservation, because wetlands do all the things we need for clean water. They help to prevent flooding, and they help to preserve clean water, and they help recharge our groundwater and our aquifers. So, I mean, and there's places, Colorado and Nebraska and places where they're really struggling to deliver water to communities and people. And I feel like it's just one of those resources that we really take for granted, but we use it every day and we need it every day. And
yeah. No, that's good, because there's a lot of things, as we get more and more populated on the planet, we use more and more water. It's a big issue here in Bishop. The Owens Valley is kind of where all LA gets a lot of their water, and it's a big story going way back generations about how that all came to be, and it's always been, a little bit controversial. And then east of here in Vegas, those guys are really struggling right now. I mean,
yes,
Lake Powell is empty, and it may never be full again. So it's a huge issue for us moving forward. That's a good one.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like I live close to the headwaters, or like
if you live close to the pipe, the spigot, it's a good place to be generally.
Yeah. But it's hard. People, we want to live where we want to live, and and water is a necessity for us, and it's just really like it's important to think about where we're going to get that from.
Yeah, that's a very good one. And if people would like to follow up with you, how's the best way to do that?
Well, you can email me at Ducks Unlimited. I'm jkross@ducks.org.
Cool.
And then they can follow our Great Plains. We have an Instagram and we have a Facebook page.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
So it's Ducks, DU Great Plains on Instagram, and Ducks Unlimited Great Plains. If you search that on Facebook, you'll be able to see that.
Perfect.
And that's our Great Plains stuff. But there's also, like our national, I don't know, each one of our regions has a site, has their Facebook. And so if you wanted to catch up with like our Great Lakes Atlantic region, that's a different website. They can
find all that on the main website, how to get to all those sub sites.
I think so.
Probably. Probably.
Yeah. Ducks.org is the website. Yeah. And you can go on there. And then you can also look up the Ducks Unlimited podcast on the website.
Right.
That's really, that's fun. They should, like I said, they probably got a podcast update about the duck numbers and stuff. I think that's the latest.
That'd be good to see. Yeah. Well, I will link to all that stuff in the show notes too, so make it easy for people to find. Well, it's been great talking to you. Nice to meet you at the OWA conference, and we'll catch up again at some point.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Rick. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah. Take care.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Outdoor Biz Podcast. Be sure to visit our website, theoutdoorbizpodcast.com, where you'll find show notes with links to everything we talked about and more. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or spread the word and tell a friend about the show. That would really help us out too. Be sure to tune in every week. And thanks again for listening to the Outdoor Biz Podcast with Rick Sayes.